Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast, season 2, episode 3. This is David Waldas here, Nick Music. I heard when you're like episode 3, season 2, episode 3. You got it. So yeah, if you're not watching this on video, you couldn't see Nick giving us the countdown on his fingers.
The wrong count.
But it worked though. Season 2, episode 3. So no foul. All right, coming in strong this morning. Welcome everyone. So really fun starting season 2, getting into these new tools and really getting clear we're going to have a whole new format. And so here's the format, and it's going to involve you all that listen. And so we're going to have 3 different types of episodes. And so the first type is the type we're doing today, type that we've done all along, which is Nick and I talking about different topics. Second type is we're going to start having guests come in. And it's not going to necessarily just be like a guest coming in to pitch their thing. But what I think is going to be fascinating is for us to have conversations about life and about the experiences and about who they are, what they do, and how that all ties in together. And, I've been on a lot of other people's podcasts. And, I think there's this normal thing that happens where people come on and they're just go through their thing. This is what I do. This is my pitch. But what I really enjoyed being on is, obviously sharing about aligned living, what I do, but really just getting into interesting conversations with the host about life, about wherever we're going to go. And it seems like the highest end podcasts, that's really what they do. I mean, you look at the really successful ones, sure, we're talking about, what it is that we're up to and what our expertise are and what we offer. But there's something really fascinating about getting into interesting conversations about life and what each of our perspectives bring. And so reached out to a handful of people already, excited to get recording with them, some really cool stuff. And so if you or somebody feel like a good fit for the show to come in and have a conversation, that would be awesome. And so in the show notes is my email. You can reach out and send us an email about why you think that would be a good fit. And so we're going to do that probably once a month. And then the third format is really where all of you come in. Is we thought it'd be fun to start doing live coaching sessions. And really fun aspect of this, Nick is an animal communicator, so also for people to be able to call in. And so once a month we'll do a live. And people can call in with their animal, and Nick can do a reading for them, or they can call in and I can do a live reading for them, just real short coaching and insight into what's going on, which I think, whenever I've seen that done by other people and whenever I've done it myself, there's always a great value for whoever's listening. And so it seems like it kind of relays over and transfers and always has deep meaning for whoever. So 3 different types of podcasts that we're going to do rotating through. So twice a month it'll be Nick and I talking. Once it'll be a guest, give or take. I mean, we may move that format around, but then once a month we'll do a live where you all can call in. And so if you're interested in doing that, we'll be sharing information. And make sure you get on the on my email list when you go to my website, so that we're going to send out the instructions on how to call in and be a guest. And again, that's, of course, there's no charge for that. It's just part of the podcast, and get these mini readings. And so, Nick, did you want to share anything about the animal communication? Because it's a form of telepathy, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. So you don't need to bring your animal. Your animal doesn't need to be there. Doesn't need to be awake. Doesn't mean to, people ask that all the time. But I couldn't bring my animal
to the place. Alive.
Doesn't have to be alive. So on the planet, off the planet, the thing that will create the connection is your intention for me and your critter to connect. That's really what it's all about.
Mhm.
And we'll start with, hey, what do you want to know? What's your question? And that will begin the connection, and then we'll go from there. But you don't have to have your animal on your lap. You don't have to have them near you. Not a thing.
Beautiful. Yeah, really fun stuff too. And if you've never experienced it before, it's pretty damn interesting, right? Because
It's
we
a
don't
hoot.
think of our animals that way. I mean, we of course we have these relationships with them, but and I mean you can speak to it better than I can. But there's kind of two aspects of the animal. Like there's the animal aspect, and then there's the higher consciousness, and there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And do you want to speak to
Well,
that at all? It's
yeah. I mean, the conversation out in the world is typically, if you're even having it, is consciousness uh, with people.
Mhm, mhm.
But rarely does the conversation ever turn into, I wonder if other things other than people have a consciousness. And the answer is yes. And
Like
one of those
plants,
things,
trees. Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
yeah.
And a life energy of those
Mhm,
things and how
mhm.
they show up.
Yeah, which sounds
And
even
they're,
more out there until you have the experience. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
interesting. Okay, consciousness is
completely.
everywhere.
Everywhere, right? And so those little fuzzy things or feather things or hoof things that are running around with you that sometimes, and I was guilty of this, my little cat pooped in a box, and that was sort of the lens I had of him until he shows up one day and he's here to show me a couple things, and I'm not here to show him a couple things, right? And that was my entry point into this conversation. Very humbling. And so that typically shows up a lot. People go, "Hey, I want to talk about my dog and why it's biting people," and I go, "That's awesome. Let's talk about your job and why it's a bad idea.
Yeah, or
What's going
your
on?"
dog wants to talk about your job, right?
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
right. Yeah. I don't want, but are they? Tell them to stop biting people. Well, your dog is not interested in that conversation. Your dog's interested in your job.
yeah,
And then we'll get into why your dog's biting people.
yeah. Which is an important aspect of understanding. If you're going to call in for a reading, it's not going to be necessarily like, oh, well, he likes that part of the yard better than this. I mean, that can be part of it,
For
and
sure.
quite often our pets are there for us, and we're their priority, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of
Yeah.
what their behavior is about. And so
100%.
it's really a reading about us as well as reading about the pet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people typically come for a 3D conversation, biting, peeing on the couch, something like that. And the conversation, without a doubt, 100% of the time so far, has been, let's talk about you and your contribution or what this means for the peeing on the couch.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about a favorite toy here and there, but it's typically not about that favorite toy.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be a mixture too. I remember years ago, actually, when my ex-wife was pregnant with our first daughter, Olivia, we had this woman, Joan Ranquette, she's a Hay House author and become a really well-known animal communicator. She lived in Golden and ended up doing a trade with Tracy, and so she came over to talk to our chocolate lab. And it was funny because Tracy was quite pregnant at the time, so our lifestyle was shifting a lot. We weren't doing some of the same things, and so we asked. One of the things that Jackson was our dog's name. One of the things that
Hmm.
Jackson would do. Oh, it's funny. I feel like I can feel his
Yeah,
presence now as,
right.
as soon as we said that. Jackson would love to steal bread, like could not help it, and especially like if you go and buy like a really expensive loaf. And back then it was like when those bread companies were really popular. Where you'd get like $10 loaves of bread that were like these gourmet, whatever. And so we'd have to keep it on top of the fridge. And if we didn't, even for a minute, he would just grab it and eat it. And it happened multiple times, particularly when we had visitors. And so we asked her to ask him about that. And the moment she thought it, all of a sudden he like turned and like buried his head, put his paws literally up over his nose. And she goes, he just can't help himself. He talks about how good it feels in his teeth when he bites down on it, and that
It was the
the way
texture, right?
the texture. Yeah, he's just like, oh my god, it's just I can't help myself. I just can't. And so he was kind of embarrassed, but he was just like, it's just too damn good. I can't resist it. But then went on to say that like he missed going somewhere where I used to play volleyball, and hadn't been doing it, and missed having as many people over at the house because we weren't having parties like we used to. And it was
Mm,
really practical, but it was also family dynamics. It was
yeah,
such a
yeah.
cool experience, and watching in real time as Jackson responded. He's totally here right now, huh? That's totally funny.
You brought him in. It's funny.
Yeah, is he saying anything? We can do a live reading right now. It's
He was no, he was. It's funny. Like I got a sense of hiding, and then you did this.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, that's funny.
yeah.
Like
You
I'm
totally
here,
feel
but
very.
then we're talking about this. Oh,
Yeah, I can totally feel him. It's funny. I didn't realize that I haven't connected with him in years and years, but he's totally around. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I'm just
they're
seeing.
available.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I never did any animal communication before Nick, and then as Nick started to do it, like I could see how Nick was doing it, and then it started like your cat Chucky started talking to me. But now it's
Well,
funny.
he
Like,
would.
yeah,
Yeah, he would show up in conversation when we were talking, and he would just come from wherever he was, and he would jump on my lap,
nail
and it
me
was
down.
yeah, it was typically for you. It wasn't for me. It was
Yeah, and accountability, like really pushing me to make the
straight
changes I
shoot.
need to make in
Yeah,
my life, and
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
it was cool, and to reflect on things that maybe I've been tolerating that I just shouldn't be. Um, yeah, it was awesome. But it was funny. I was like when Jackson just came in. Now he was showing me. It's pretty emotional for me, but he got diagnosed with cancer, and he didn't have when we got diagnosed. There was nothing they could do. He had like just a few weeks to live, and we took him. He loved being in the water, so we brought him to this place where he'd love to go swimming, and my daughters and I, and like I had to carry him out and set him in the water
mm,
because he couldn't really stand up very well. And it's funny. He was just showing me that right now of how much he enjoyed, like what a kind of special moment that was, and something that really stuck with me. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of interesting to just relive that with him now. And so yeah, they do not need to be even here. And that was, what's Olivia is what 24 now, and so yeah, that was like when he passed. That was like 19 years ago, 18 years ago. So
yeah.
yeah.
I've had folks show up, and the critter's been gone for quite a long time,
Hmm.
and they're available.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Maybe you can make sense of this, Nick, too, because now when he's showing me like a person, like a man. I don't know why, because he was showing me himself as a dog then, but he's showing me himself now like he's a guy.
So sometimes this reminds me of when Chuckadoo passed. Like he showed
Your cat.
he yeah, sorry, my cat. Um, he was showing, and I went to Adelita afterwards.
Who's a psychic, but also the
A
one that
medium, and
told you that you were going to be a
that I
pet.
that would be due. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, at that point it was really emotional for both me and my wife, and so it was like I was not a good candidate at that point. But Adelita was, and she's like he's showing me he's meditating.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so there's an aspect of seeing the animal from a different perspective. Like,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
showing up as a person, it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's not just a dog. It's not just a
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
It's a different. It's a peer. It's someone else who
Hmm.
else walked the planet with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we typically, which is what we were talking about. Like, you typically don't think about them that way.
No,
Um,
no. Yeah, I'd never seen Jackson that way, but he's literally showing me himself now, not as a dog, but as like a man.
it's a little bit like, you talk to a teacher. Um, And they go, you ask them, what's the most surprising part of you being a teacher? Uh, and they go, it's all the things I learned from the students.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a
absolutely.
dynamic shift that happens, and you're
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
oh my God,
And
I,
that's
I had
often
no
a
idea.
reflection, right?
Yep. Yeah.
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 Yeah, fascinating. That's funny. There's the unscripted. I didn't expect Jackson to come back in after all these years, but my first kid.
That's
Yeah.
fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to feel. I feel like he's gonna hang out and talk to me after the show. That, and so, this is part of that world. In fact, one of my friends that I invited on the show, we're going to record next week. It's just the topic's going to be about what is it like navigating life as a channel, as having information that other people don't have, as psychically or intuitively knowing things, and it's really interesting. Like people often think about, oh, that must be so cool. Well, it is, but it also comes with a lot of challenge. It comes with a lot to navigate, a lot of information, and really having to choose what we're going to tap into and not. And I mean, how weird is that, right? We're talking about. I mean, this is a perfect example of that. Here's Nick and I talking about past pets, all of a sudden my dog from who passed 18 years ago shows up, starts, you know, engaging and well, it just makes there's a lot of layers to experiencing life when we have access to that. And I think, I know we all do because I know when people start doing the line living work, they get access to it. And so it's super fun, but it's also it's a lot to navigate. And one of the things I often talk about with clients when they're in relationships where they have access to all this information, maybe they're super empathic or intuitive and their partner isn't, or they're comparing themselves to other people that are like, oh, they just seem like they can just breeze through life, is that the number of variables that we have in our life. And for most people that are living in a 3D consciousness, there's just not a lot of variables. They're just going through life, having the experience they're having, interacting with just a handful of things. And those of us that have access to all these little nuances, all the information about the way people are responding, what they're thinking, what, in the guidance, life can get extremely complicated if we give it all value. And so it's a really interesting piece to bring back in and go, well, what's really important to me? What really matters? What should I be making decisions based on? And if it's just, making decisions based on all this information, it's just way too much data. I mean, we could look at it as, if you're making a decision right now with the internet, with AI, you can collect way more data than you could ever possibly need. And if all that comes rushing in and you haven't sorted it and you don't know what is more important than the other, it's just extremely overwhelming. And so a big part of having access to this is also being able to turn away what's not relevant and to really become focused. But so much of it, when it opens up for us, people want to just be in this non-ordinary experience of like, oh, and I picked up this little thing and this little thing and this guidance and this guidance. And it is part of the process. But then we have to get really pragmatic if we're going to utilize it in a way that we're making a big difference in the world, and that we're actually using it as just a way to show up fully in our full power and our full expression of self. Because we could easily get hijacked by all the information, and I think that's when you look at empaths, as most people that have these capacities are. It's just so easy to get sidetracked, and so that's that's a big part of what aligned living is going, okay, let me organize that. Let me get really clear about what's relevant to me, so the information I'm tapping into and hearing very clearly is where I'm operating from, not just in all the information, because that can
Yeah,
just get us on
yeah,
everybody else's agenda.
you don't need to be the weather reporter on TV and seeing and feeling all the weather and then
Yeah,
reporting on it.
yeah,
It's
and
what's
letting other people's discomfort that we feel in us hijack us, so we're so busy resolving everybody else's stuff and instead of moving
yeah,
forward on our own. And
yeah,
so
bring
it's
your
a
own
really
weather.
fascinating part of all of this, right? Like, and it's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
fun real time example of what that looks like. Like, oh, okay, well let's talk about Jackson from um yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It shows up at unexpected times, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super
Mhm.
fun. So with all this new stuff, as I said, I've been kind of coming out of a cocoon, and both Nick and I are kind of revamping a lot of the things that we're doing. And so wanted to just give you a quick overview too of a couple things that we've shifted and changed. So of course, I've been doing one-to-one sessions since the beginning, and I still work with a handful of high performing clients and have openings here and there for that. But the group programs, and everything starts with a 12-week program to really learn the line living system and learn all the new tools. And anybody that's worked with me in the past to come back, like there's just so much new information. It's so exciting. And like I said, it's working with the inner space now. A lot of aligned living was outer world, inner world, and now we're sovereign. Now we're really aligned and attuned with ourselves. And so the new stuff is, what do I do with that? How do I really fill that out and really get a deep sense of myself? And super fun stuff. But the group stuff, I used to do like small groups of like 5 to 7, and decided to just shift it to groups of and the small group stuff now is groups of 3, and people can form them themselves and they get a discount if they do that. But also it's a way to make it super intimate, much more like the one-to-ones. And yeah, it's super fun. And of course, still offering the coach training, which we're going to have the next cohort coming up in the fall. And that's so fun, taking everything to another level of, if you've already been doing the work, and your focus is on how do I stay aligned, the moment you start becoming a coach, it's not about how do I stay aligned. Like staying aligned is a prerequisite, which is one of the fun things about coaching or even just seeing yourself as somebody who utilizes their consciousness to affect people in positive ways and help them stabilize, help them be clear. The moment we're doing that, like so many of the coaches, even if they don't become practicing coaches, it just makes their alignment a prerequisite instead of their goal. And the moment that happens, we just find ourselves automatically in alignment way more. And so, even if you're not interested in being a coach, it it really is kind of the next evolution of the aligned living work because it just forces you to just, well, I have to be in alignment to do this, so that's just where I am. Anybody that's been a parent or anybody that's had a job, like, well, when I show up, I have to be this way, and so I just find a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That being aspect of the work. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And so, the other thing is, the Tuesday night group that I've done forever, restarting it now and building into a bigger group where we meet for an hour, and I'll have some sort of whatever's the energetics are doing right now. I'll talk about that for a little while. We'll usually do an exercise and a meditation. And it's a great way to keep your alignment, to keep focused on it. And that's like a real entry level price point, but really deep work we're still doing. So that one's $97 a month. And I'll put a link on here where you can get the first week for free if you want to try it out. And that's open to people who've done aligned living work and haven't. So anybody that's interested in having an experience of it, we meet every Tuesday night and it's recorded. So it's 5:30 to 6:30 PST, Pacific time. And so if you're, if you can make it live, great. But if you can't, the recordings are there too for each week, and really fun stuff. And like I said, that's $97 a month, so it's a real easy price point, and you get the first week for free if you want to check it out. And so those are kind of the main things that are going on. Of course, as I said, I'm working on this new book, and that will be out for long. Looking for shopping it around right now, and so super exciting stuff. Just so much, everything just feels so solid, like it's just filling
Mm.
out now, and so foundational. And it's been really fun to watch clients feel that and be in that full valence shell, right? That fullness of self. And so, with that said, you're starting some new stuff too, Nick, which is part of your path that you're teaching now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's today? Today's Friday?
Today's Friday,
Early,
yeah.
earlier this week, started Jailbreakers, which is for folks who want to move beyond where they currently are. Right. The idea came to me when I was starting to think about when I started working for myself in 2019,
Mhm.
and you were coaching me at the time. And that was
Part of that
super.
guarantee we have that says, once you work with us, that you'll be unemployable.
It was
Not
super
really, but
helpful.
we just get so clear that we like people get so driven to do their own thing.
You want to do your own
That was
thing.
you.
Yeah, you want to do your own thing. You want to give it a shot and see how it works out, and see what you can make. And so that was super helpful, because I was talking to myself and the wall and the cat and like right, like it was a lot of
You didn't realize how much you're
isolation.
talking to the cat at that point.
True. Um, and but there was a missing element of a group that it just wasn't available. It just
Mhm.
wasn't available.
Other people doing the same thing that you're doing. Yeah.
100%,
When you were leaving
100%.
your job to go start your own thing.
Yeah, and what does that feel like, and what does that sound like, and what are the challenges folks are coming up against? And so I was lucky to be able to process those things with you,
Mhm.
um, and having been in groups since then, um, groups have their own benefit, one-on-ones have their own benefit, and I thought, well, I wonder what the group would look like that I create. What would that look
Mhm.
like?
Uh-huh.
And so working with folks who are looking for whatever that thing is, whether it's a book or the new job or a different position in the current company or whatever it is, but that
Yeah,
thing
it
that
doesn't necessarily mean a
feels.
destruction of the old, but if you're feeling
That's right.
like what I've been doing is feeling really confining and limiting, and I'm gonna move beyond that to something more. And it could be
Yeah,
leaving the job. It could be
it
a
could
complete
be.
overhaul, or it could be I'm gonna write my book, or I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this
So
side.
the North Star is really that your own creative, plucky spirit and how that wants to show up.
I like that.
Uh, and how it shows up for other folks. And so like you can feed off that, you can create in contrast, but having a group of folks who show up to have a meaningful conversation once a month
Mm-hmm.
around what's top of mind. You bring yourself, I bring a question or two, and you leave with what's most meaningful. So keep it
Right.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
Once a month is the commitment. You can go to nickmusica.com. Up in the, I think it's under resources, jailbreakers. You can sign up there.
Mm-hmm.
Do the monthly if it sounds like something you want to check out. If you're like, no, this is something that I think would support me through the year, do the year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another option to get in front of peers and have a space for conversations that we simply do not allow ourselves to have. We don't carve out time for them.
Yeah, and that's great. I think so many people are feeling that drive inside them right now of like, I want more. There's something that needs to be expressed through me, and I think it can be really easy to dismiss that, put it off. But what I'm seeing is more and more people that are just like, it's now, right? Like this thing's been bubbling up. The spark is in me, and it's not something that is serving me to contain anymore, or put it on the back burner, or put it on the shelf.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so we've talked about multiple opportunities to give yourself the opportunity of exploration and discovery. This is one of them.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so yeah, it's so fun having all this new stuff, and for whatever reason, it all just feels so solid. Before when the energetic structure I got for all the stuff that I was doing, and you can see if this relates to you too as well, Nick. It almost felt like I was on a rocket ship and we're going from here to there. Like, and again, like the transformation, we could say a third dimensional reality to a fifth dimensional reality. Like we're changing what is, and we're going to this new stuff, this new location, and it feels like we're traveling. And with all this new stuff, it feels like, oh, we've arrived, and now we're actually holding the space. Now we're operating from a solidifying, operating from a grounding it in, operating from this place that says, yeah, this isn't about us like being in this, high speed motion. It's really about, okay, now let's create a home here. And that is the next, I mean, it makes sense, right? That's the next version of what aligned living is. Before it was learning how to, deal with the world, let it be out there, find us in here. And now it's really moving in. It's about really expanding, being the full octet, the full valence shell, the expansion of self. If you've watched any of the other episodes, I'm making reference to that sense of just being in our fullness, our completeness, and then showing up to the world from that place, as opposed to navigating all the stuff that's coming in. And it feels so solid and so foundational, which I think is rare in energetic work. Um, and stuff that feels so new. So I was talking actually it was my publishing agent. I was talking with her the other day who's she's been doing this work, and she said, it's really an interesting time where I'm feeling more solid than ever in just that relating to self. Which is what this work does. It gives us this internal relating to self, and it keeps us from needing the same things from the outer world, right? Because we're meeting them inside. It's that divine masculine, divine feminine coming together, or child, like really just feeling like, oh, everything's right here with me, in me. And then I want to engage with the world, but now I don't need the same things from the world, and the world doesn't necessarily need the same things from me. And so how I show up is kind of new. It's a little bit foreign. It takes some adjusting, but how I'm showing up inside me feels so solid and so full and so grounding and so stable, that it makes outward interfaces just different, and kind of a new world, a little bit strange, but super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm recalling one day sitting with the cactus San Pedro, and I heard, you don't solve problems. You come here to create. And so there was this really big messaging of differentiation of, I mean, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be something someone wants you to do for them. Right? What's the line? If you don't have a dream, someone will recruit you for theirs, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up solving the problems that are within that framework, and then and you go from there. But the other opportunity is to create an alternative to that.
Yeah. And to outcreate the problem. We're not solving the problem. I love that you brought that up, because that is a lot of what happens with this work, right? Is we're working upstream. So we're not even like engaging with the discomfort. We're not engaging with the problem. We're not engaging with what's wrong. We're operating in a way that ends up resolving it, but it seems like it has nothing to do with it. And so we're just operating in a way that's just more clean, clear, more aligned with ourselves, and we're creating something. We go, oh, look at that thing that used to be a problem isn't a problem anymore.
That's
And
right.
I actually never really addressed it. I moved into a different part of me where cleaner, clear, established, solid, grounded part of me, where that thing just it doesn't come up anymore. It's just not relevant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it,
We're not looking to make better wheels on the horse and buggy. We're looking for, or we're creating the automobile, or we're creating whatever means of transportation is better.
yeah, yeah, it's not the same game. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's
different.
similar to what we talked about at the beginning, of our call of, um, all the new stuff that's coming in. Like it's the way that we used to operate, right? The way that the things that we used to put our energy into, the all the information that we would know intuitively or psychically or picking up, that just felt really relevant. Now it just doesn't really feel relevant because it's engaging us in the problem. And no, like, it's really interesting the difference between guidance and picking something up intuitively. When we're picking up something intuitively, like, oh, this person's thinking this person's feeling this, I feel like this is gonna happen, I feel like that. Like, well, that's great. That's all the chaos of the world. But when we're really aligned with ourselves and tapped in, we're just going, oh, this is what I'm doing. And all those other things that are going on, like, you know, the world's doing it differently. And my relationship with myself is my reference point. And if I'm making my relationship with everybody else my reference point for what's right for me and for what's I'm going to create and what's required, we're constantly in this juxtaposition. We're constantly in this dynamic back and forth that keeps us stuck in the old, that keeps us recreating with everybody else around us. And when we go into the space internally, we're just like, yeah, well, that's just not relevant to me. I can understand why they're thinking that way, and I can understand why they're going this way and what they're doing, but that has nothing to do with me. And even though that may be uncomfortable for me, or I may want to help them shift that or change that, if I'm engaging with the problem, like I'm not, like you said, putting better bearings in the wheels for the buggy versus like, well, I'm going to teleport now instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Steve Jobs, whatever your opinion may or may not be of him, I mean, he was just like, I'm going to create something that doesn't exist.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
You're gonna touch a screen and you're gonna be able to do things on a phone. It's. I mean, look at the phones out today. It's really hard to say that they're not phones. You
No,
just
no, no.
happen to make a phone call on them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
there's
that's probably the thing we use it for the least. When you look at how much time you spend on your phone, actually talking on it as a phone is probably the
oh
least.
my goodness, it's so funny. I was looking at my phone yesterday and I'm like, what apps on here do I not use anymore?
Mhm.
And I deleted a couple, but not once did I think anything about actually making a phone call in terms of
Yeah.
usage. Like it just wasn't a
No,
thought
I'll take
of.
the phone app off of it. Like, I never make calls. I don't need that.
Just wasn't a thought of, oh, do I make calls or not make calls on this thing? It's like, I don't use this, I don't use this, I don't use this, but just not think about it as a phone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
it's a great
creation.
analogy for what happens when we're like, "Well, I'm not trying to solve these problems. I'm creating an experience where those problems are not even happening, much less relevant, like, they're just not part of my reality."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most problems are the things that make us uncomfortable or things aren't working the way we want them to. And so when we just and again, it's one of those things that's hard to really put to words, because all of this is about internal experience. And one of the big things that shifted with this new work is the grace that shows up inside of us. And when that grace is there, we give a lot more permission for other people to be how they are, and a lot more permission for us to have struggled the way that we've struggled. And when we're not fighting with that anymore, it doesn't have the same value to it. We can just go, oh, well, I can just set that down and I can actually create what I want to create. And it's also okay for me to make mistakes. It's okay for me to not be perfect. And that grace element, like, I never understood until I started experiencing it inside my field the way that I do now, how much freedom is there and how much it allows us to choose differently. Because if we're afraid of making mistakes, or if we feel like we got to help somebody else with something that they're struggling with, or for me, the big one was taking it personally. Like, why would they act that way towards me? Like, I don't like, in realizing that giving grace allows people to be how they're going to be, and engage how they're going to engage. And I would have never said that. It just wouldn't occur to me. I didn't have that link in my mind that said, oh, by just having more grace inside of me, it doesn't feel personal when people do things that are frustrating or upsetting to me, because they're not really that frustrating and upsetting anymore, because I'm giving them grace. I'm giving me grace. And then there's just another choice to make. And that freedom, I don't know if you can feel it. Like I can feel like there's an energy. And there's an interesting part of this too, is a transference. And so as I'm talking about this, I can feel this energy coming off of me that's just soothing, that creates a nurturing experience for myself and for people around them. I mean, it is grace. And it's pretty remarkable what happens when we hold that in ourselves and offer that to others and to ourselves. All the dynamics just start to seem to shift. And when people try to cling to an old way of like blame or anger, like it just looks really silly in that energy. Yeah.
So
Fun
more of
stuff.
that. More of that
More
in
of that.
season. Where are we? Season 2? Season 2, episode 3?
Season 2, episode 3. Of course, season 1 was 108 episodes, I think. So we'll see how long season 2 is.
Standard Netflix.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for listening. I know it's funny that we tend to go over, but we'll put information in the show notes. If any of these offerings look really interesting to you, Jailbreaker's really awesome concept. So right in line with everything that you've done and been doing. The weekly group coaching, awesome, fun way to do that. And then I'm really curious to see who's going to be calling in with wanting some real-time coaching and messages, communication with their animals. Awesome. So again, subscribe so that you have the information of how to call in. And you just go to my website, davidwaldas.com, and you can get on the list there. And I think there's a pop-up on there now too to join the weekly group. So with the first week free. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you all next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.